carry this? You gonna help me carry it? No? Ravens, almost the best company we've got out here. Right here behind me, these little fir trees. When we were walking over here to look for some wood to cut down, a couple of grouse flew out of there, which is nice to see. So they actually landed, one of them landed there, went into that spruce tree, and then came over into these firs. But you can see the holes underneath. Kelly's trying to find them still. Holes in the snow underneath these low fir branches where the grouse were hiding. So nice and protected in there. I didn't get very close actually. We were probably 40 yards from them before they took off, or when they took off. Usually at this time of year, sound is so muffled that they can't hear you approaching. There's not much vibration from walking on the ground, but they did. They were spooky, and they just flew down into the valley here. The season's not open right now, and I wouldn't shoot them this time of year anyway, but nice to see them back here at least. Haven't seen them in a while. No, they're gone, Kelly.
One in, pup?
So that's the frozen venison. Thawed it out today in the cabin. I won't start eating, of course, the canned stuff or the dried venison until, well, spring, but at least until this runs out. So don't have to worry about a place to freeze it. It's all very frozen. Cut it in a locker behind the cabin. Steel cabinet thing, so nothing's going to get into it. But like I said, north side, sun never hits it, and it's obviously cold enough, and there's enough in there that even if it got to 0 or above, still wouldn't even start to thaw out. So I'm good for the winter. But that venison, man, is that ever tender? I can barely flip it over with the fork because it's just falling out, almost falling apart. So I'll have that with the leftover, what's that stuff? Cauliflower that I made last night, that mashed cauliflower that I put the cream and the butter into. And then a side plate of sauerkraut, not pickled sauerkraut, but actually fermented sauerkraut. Much healthier than pickled stuff. Is that it? Yeah, I guess that's it for dinner. Callie's got almost a pound of venison to eat. Callie, aren't you cold, girl? Standing in the middle of the snow, in the dark? I'll throw it one more time, then we're going to thaw it out and go inside, okay? Going out, or do you want me to go out with you? I know you want me to go out with you. I have some work to do inside, okay? And you're going to find that it's so cold you're not going to want to stay out either. Okay? Just give me a minute. Over here, over here. This is frozen solid. You're crazy, Kelly. Did you pull this off or did it just come off? I'm freezing. No, let me see. Callie, let me see. broth. It's good. Man. A little messy, but is that ever good on a cold day like that? Like this. It smells some fat and bone marrow and stuff. That's a little hot. So it's about minus 30 with the wind chill right now. It's a bit of a breeze bringing that cold air in from the north now. I think it's minus 20 or 22 or something like that without the wind chill. So a cold enough day. I'm trying to stay outside as much as possible because I don't want to just keep burning through a ton of wood inside, and trying to get stuff done out here without making a mess inside too, and then bring the finished projects in to install. So I'm working on a railing on that upper floor right now. Anyway, what I was thinking as I'm working out here is how tough it is, and it's kind of humbling. Every day out here is humbling. Every day that or every chore or task that I do that I think I knew something about or was pretty good at, I'm finding that when you have to do it every single day, it's not quite as easy as you think. So I'm just finding out every day out here that I'm being humbled. All the things that I thought I was pretty good at, I'm finding that, yeah, maybe I'm pretty good, but you have to be a lot better than pretty good at things. So used to living in a society where division of labor has been the norm, where we each choose a task, career, or whatever it is, and become good at that, and that's our contribution to society. So if everybody chooses something a little bit different, collectively we're experts at everything. But what I'm finding out is that living this lifestyle requires you to be kind of an expert at everything. Everything, of course, associated with the lifestyle. So the things that I thought I was good at, I thought I was pretty good at starting fires and managing firewood. And I'm finding that I'm still learning stuff every day about that. Types of wood, the moisture content in the wood, starting fires indoors and outdoors when the wood's damp or wet. Maintaining a fire longer rather than just a hot flash fire and then freezing in the middle of the night. So many things. Like I said, it's one thing to be a weekend warrior and think you're an expert at something or pretty good at something, but applying that every single day regardless of the weather conditions, it's a completely different ballgame. And it's given me a real new respect for the settlers of anywhere, I guess, but in my area here, people that came into this area to develop it and start homesteads. Man, it was tough. It really only the hardiest actually survive. You know, hunting, I thought I was a pretty good hunter. I've shot a deer every year for the last 20 years or so, or more, I guess, and other big game animals. And this year you saw how much of a struggle it was for me. It was one thing when I would go to work 5 days a week, come home in the evenings and go out hunting or go out on weekends and just focus on doing that during the season. But when you have all these other things to do that your survival depends on, like building a shelter and collecting firewood, cutting firewood, building buildings like the sauna for hygiene, and just all of these things, outdoor kitchen, takes the focus away from being single focused and broadens the task list every day. You know, woodworking, I thought I knew the basic woodworking principles, of finding that's a learning curve. Every single day I'm learning something new. Cooking, you got to be almost an expert cook to live like this if you want diversity in your diet and some interest. So learning how to cook different types of meals, not only different types of meals depending on the ingredients I have, but also depending on the heating element. So that bone broth I was able to cook on the stove, the wood stove. The wood stove has to be managed, monitored closely for temperature. put the wrong log on there, or you put too many logs that you haven't created enough oxygen, the fire dies down. You open up the dampers, loosen up the firewood, and then it gets too hot. So it's constant monitoring or learning which wood type and what wood size and everything is the best for cooking on. Outdoor fire, same thing. Cooked the steaks on here last night. Got to keep an eye on that when you do it. Nice to get coals, so you have to have a fire long enough that it burns down the coals rather than hot flame that's just going to burn the outside, char the outside and not cook the inside. So the bone broth that started inside, I'm bringing it out here because I don't want to keep opening the door going in and out to warm up. So I've got this fire here so I can work on the front porch and stay warm. Dip into the bone broth whenever I need a hot drink in me. And that's my only calories for lunch too. I'm not going to bother cooking anything for lunch. It's getting a little bit too concentrated, so I'll just keep adding snow to it to add a little bit more liquid. So as far as all the things that I'm learning every day, I'm also getting tips from you guys, watching other people's YouTube channels and their videos, and reading books, listening to podcasts, whatever I need to do to learn things as I go. So like I said, everything I thought I knew a little bit about, a little bit is not enough. I need to learn a lot about everything, and it's going to take a lifetime, or at least a lot of time, and I'm glad I have the time to do that. And you know, it's a real experiment, a real life lesson to work at this and try to perfect all of it as I go. I still have a lot to learn. I still have a lot of aspects of this life that I need to add. My workshop that I plan on building later this year, timber framing, something I haven't done before, so I wanted to learn how to do that properly. So I'll be studying resources before then, and then just practicing with the actual materials, and hopefully I get it mostly right. What else this year? More food preservation. I have to build a cellar. Simple thing, like I thought a cellar here especially, I should face it north. I've got this nice steep north bank on this side of the cabin that goes down to the creek valley. So all along I was planning on building the cellar into that hill facing north, thinking the sun will never be on it, so therefore it won't warm up. Well, what I discovered doing some research is that in this area cellars actually face south, because you want to stop things from freezing solid in the winter as much as possible. So at least with the south sun low on the horizon, it's kind of on the door of that cellar, so it's warming it up a little bit. If it's on the north side, it never sees sunlight. And then in the summer, our sun typically is so high in the sky that it's not really a south sun orientation coming in. And if you put it where there's some trees with some overhead canopy, then the sun never gets on that shelter or on the face or door of that underground cellar. Or you built it underneath a building so that no sun gets on it, which is maybe an option too. I might build the cellar and then build a smokehouse or something on top of it, as long as the insulation is thick enough to, or it'll be a cold smokehouse anyway, so the smoke will come in from the side. But anyway, something I have to research. So that's something I learned just by getting more serious about it, because making a mistake is going to be costly and maybe prevent me from living here full time. Dealing with a cold's another matter. I've worked outside a lot of my life. I was a sheet metal worker for a number of years. I was a sheet metal worker on commercial buildings on the rooftops. So standing out or kneeling a lot of times, putting metal around the outside of a building. Can't wear thick gloves half the time because you need to manipulate the tools and the metal, miter corners and stuff. So I had to learn to dress warmly for that. But productivity in the winter was just slow and low. So I'd do a little bit of work and then maybe go back to the truck or go inside and warm up. You find when you're doing stuff outdoors, especially on a long trek into the woods or winter camping trip overnighter, that you have nowhere warm to get, and you better be good at lighting a fire, or you're just not going to, maybe not survive, certainly not be comfortable. So learning to deal with the cold has been, all the time has been a challenge and a learning experience. You found it, eh? Great. And the other thing I'm finding is that doing everything alone is daunting, and it's a lot more time consuming than I imagined, I think. Didn't realize that it'd be 2 years into this before I got to this point. I always think, well, I'm just going to knock off a forest kitchen in the summer, or last spring I started, and I thought I'll work on that for a month and then I'll move on to the next thing. But there's so many things to do when you're working alone. You know, the things like cooking and firewood and like getting materials and fishing and hunting and doing other things takes away the time that you can dedicate just to one project. So again, it's not weekend warrior stuff. It's not you know, just a hobby where you can just focus all your time on that one thing while you're doing it because you don't have anything else pressing. Yeah, it's definitely taught me a lot about work ethic, about being responsible for yourself and your own actions, not being lazy, not procrastinating, not relying on others, so therefore becoming more self-reliant, and humble. Doesn't matter how good you are at something. First of all, somebody's probably better at that thing than you are, and secondly, being good at one thing when you're trying to do something that needs a lot of skills is not really all that helpful. You need to be pretty darn good at a lot of things in order to do this. And all the things that I thought I was pretty good at, like I said, it's maybe not, I wasn't so good at it, and I'm finding that out and I'm learning as I go. But like I said, I'm really looking forward to learning a lot more about everything to do with this lifestyle, and that I'm going to keep practicing, I'm going to keep learning from others, and just enjoying this time while I have it. Well, I think that's it for this video. I'm going to check the weather forecast. Back in town, I'm just seem to be, from what I've heard on the radio and on the internet, is that this is, I'm in a little pocket here where we're not getting slammed by a winter storm. Pass through pretty quickly. I guess most of it's probably snow squalls coming off the lake, and the way that wind direction is right now, it's just missing me. So I've got a lot of sunshine apparently. Just a few miles from here, they're buried in snow, getting buried in snow. So hopefully I get this video uploaded in time for you guys to watch it on Friday. So I'm going to try that now and get the fire stoked in the cabin so it's nice and warm when I get back. So that's it. I'm going to wrap it up. Thanks for watching, everybody. Really appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you at the cabin next time. Take care.